All right. Well, I'm having the great pleasure of sitting with Fionnula McHale. You're
Great.
from is it Dublin, Ireland you're in?
That's correct. Yeah,
Oh man, that's some hardcore action right there in Dublin, Ireland. Hey.
for sure.
So I'm going to call you Dr. F for the day, if that's okay.
I think that will work
That works
well.
well. And we're really curious about, well, everything about you, where all this strength comes from. Holy shit, you're slaying some serious weight when you're doing these Super League Live concepts here. And you're a doctor. And I think we just want to get in. Tell us a little bit about your bio and you share what you want along the way. And we're curious. Let's
Wow,
go.
it's a long story. And I suppose it's intermingled with a variety of things that are often, of interest to podcasts like today. So I suppose, I guess athletically, I grew up as, doing competitive swimming and did that for many, many years as a child, since probably about the age of 4. I wouldn't say I was necessarily, top of the game. Like, I mean, I did well nationally in Ireland, but the athletic side of things wouldn't be a huge standard in Ireland if you compare it internationally. Now, I suppose back then I would have been the type of person that trained extremely hard. So, I loved the training. And if you have any concept of swimming training, it's intense.
Yeah.
There's a lot there in terms of volume. Frequency is huge as well. So I kind of thrived on it. I suppose I didn't have the best of childhoods. It wasn't an easy upbringing, and I would have used swimming as my escape. So again, there was so much chaos going on around me from such a young age. Again, probably from the age of 3 or so, and swimming was just, oh, you're in the water and there's nobody can get you. So I loved that, and I loved the pain. I loved the torture of it. Like, I mean, if I didn't feel pain after the session, that there must be something wrong, and I better go back and do it again later. And as you get older, the frequency becomes high, so you might be doing 3 sessions a day. It could be 2 in the water and 1 on land. And I never really did particularly well when it came to competition, I guess. I used to be a very anxious kid. I remember one of my first competitions vomiting in the pool. Like, I always got so nervous. So, I suppose that maybe paints a picture of, things that were starting to maybe, come to the surface in terms of my mental health at the time. But again, swimming and training was just my solace. Like, school, I loved as well. I was very good at school, but I wasn't really able to go to school, or let's say, I had a lot going on at home that I had to look after. And so I would have done my own studies largely, self-directed. I enjoyed reading, I enjoyed learning, and luckily I had access to reading materials. So again, I was a good kid and worked very hard in both school and in training. Because of the pleasure of it. And then I suppose as I grew older and grew in confidence as well, I had a few setbacks in terms of moving places and the chaos at home. But I then decided that my out was going to be, I had 2 choices. Either A, I pursue swimming, this is maybe 15, 16. I had to cop on to figure out, well, you know what, like, the swimming's not going to get me very far in life. It is not going to get me out of this situation and give me a good life long term. So I had to make the decision there to quit the swimming and put my efforts into getting into medical school, because I knew that that was something that, was going to set me up for life. And it was a passion of mine too, because I suppose the one person who had been a support to me had died from cancer later after that. But my rationale for going into medicine was, hoping to potentially be able to save him, and probably cognizant of my own issues at the time,
Yeah.
and aware that the medical system was kind of failing me as well. So
Wow.
I went into medicine, got the points, did very well. And also probably did well with extracurricular things. So, I did the Young Scientist exhibition. I got my first publication in Nature Biotech at 15 or something, was very fortunate in that regard. And again, worked hard into medicine. And it was at that time, I guess, that because the swimming side of things was gone at a competitive level, I kind of put my efforts into the gym. Now, at that point, it was kind of like money, it was the standard thing that women do in the gym. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I maybe knew some lap pull down from swimming training, but that was about it. So I was just running and running and running, but I did that religiously. It was still an escape at the time. Shortly into college, I guess I became very unwell emotionally. I felt that the medicine that I was studying at the time, I felt there was something missing. And because, again, my granddad had passed away, I was getting very unwell and the medical system was failing me, like, terribly. I wasn't getting better, and it was just medication after medication after medication. I just became very disillusioned with everything, and probably fell into a deep depression at that time, probably one of the worst until recently. So at that time then, for whatever reason, I had just one day an epiphany, like, okay, I need to go to the gym. And so I went. And I went to the same gym that I would have always gone in college. And this is probably in the middle of university. And by chance, one of the trainers said to me, have you ever lifted weights? And I said, well, no. Like, I was pretty pissed off at the time. I literally just got out of a depression here, like, and you're hassling me in the gym? Get lost. So I wasn't too happy about my 1 hour run, at the steady pace, at the same time being interrupted by this guy. What is he talking about? Weights. So anyways, being the person I was like, okay, I'll listen, I did listen, and he gave me a program. Now it turns out, in hindsight, he was actually Polycon qualified, so the program he gave me was actually excellent, and I was very lucky to have come across him. So what I found then, the program he gave me the same pain that I used to get from swimming training, which I had not.
Yeah.
It was like, I remember it was split squats, and there was tempo. And again, as somewhat OCD tendencies towards numbers, started to love that there was like 4 seconds down, 1 second pause. This was all measurable. I could track the weight that I was lifting. I mean, that's why I think there has to be a God out there somewhere, because it was after that session, I was like, oh my God, this is euphoric. Like, this is what I need in my life. I had pain. It was just, and the next day I woke up in even more pain. Obviously, the DOMs from never having done that type of training was, and I was just like, straight away, like, I've got to go back there. I'm going to go back, talk to this guy, and I got to figure out how the hell to get this more often. Yeah. So I did that anyways. And for a few months I did well. And, it's the funniest thing looking back now. But then I remember one day him saying, maybe you should try the barbell. Like, I think you'd be strong enough. And I'll never forget the day I put my 2 hands on the bar and I went under. I said, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. I went under and I racked the bar and I took the bar out of the rack and I said, no, I can't do this. So that was my first experience of the bar. And God, that's not that long ago. So that's maybe, I would say probably 10, maybe 7, no. I think it might be 8 years.
Yeah.
And it was from then, actually, through him, I started to go look into more by Charles Poliquin, did my PICP, and then found out about functional medicine. And then from using the Poliquin principles myself, as I moved through college and got through the degree and all the rest, and then things started to fall into place, and using the S&C side of things and using what I was learning in functional medicine, which when I found out, it was just bliss, because it was everything that I believed in and everything that I loved to study, the science, the molecular side of things. And again, it helped me at a time when nothing else really was. So that was incredible, Wow. It was just life-changing. So it was the merging, I suppose, of the training, but also finding my passion intellectually as well again, which, for me was a big turning point. And I'm very grateful that I came across Charles, because again, it was him that gave me the confidence to pursue it as a career. Everyone else at the time, especially Ireland, you can imagine, is very conservative. And anything that's not mainline medicine. And again, probably given that I could have had a relatively stable career, orthopedics probably was where I was going. It was a big risk at the time,
Yeah.
But I was just so passionate about it, and I just felt that, God, if this is helping me, who I felt was like a lost cause, then you know what? Like I think I'm here for a reason to bring this to other people. So I went from there, and then through again Derek Woodsky and Ryan Fenley, I met at PICP2, and we did a 1RM deadlift, and I think I did like 120 or 130 or something, at about 60 kilos, I suppose.
Yeah.
And he was like, God, you got to compete. So I just went home and I was like looking up competitions. I went from there. So again, not too long before that, only maybe a few years, I wasn't even able to get under that bar.
Wow.
And then I did my first powerlifting competition, broke all the national records, and like again, it was a drug-free event. I'll never forget it, getting tested all the time.
Yeah.
This random girl comes in and she's breaking all the records, and went from there. Got 2 European titles in a row. Then I got injured, I guess. So I got a bad injury before the second world. I got second at the world drug free, and then the second world drug free. After the Europeans, the injury was just too severe that
What was
as
it?
much as I wanted to compete, was advised against it.
What was the injury, Dr. F? What was?
It was the disc. So I think it was L4, L5. And I'm still rehabbing that, don't get me wrong. And then, I remember dislocating 3 ribs as well, on the bench. I've been through it all, but I wouldn't be the best at listening to my body back then either. So again, I don't care, I'm still doing it anyways. And my coach at the time, Owen Lacey, he's a great friend of mine from ISI in Dublin. Again, he would have worked with Charles. He's like, listen, Fionnula, you got to get that damn MRI. I'm like, no, I don't need to know what it is. I'm still doing it anyway. But inevitably, anyways, it was bad news. So.
The therapeutic, you use that, like you said, it's so therapeutic for you. You just walked us through a little bit. We're going to get into your struggles that you've turned into strengths here in a bit, but you're so passionate about it because of the therapeutic effect that it creates in you. And another thing you said, the medicine that you study, and of course, because I follow you, I read a lot of your posts that really stick to, like you said, cancer and what creates it, what causes it, how you can prevent it, and things. That is awesome that you were doing that, girl. It's kind of a niche thing that you're taking the time to go over and above to say, here's what I've learned. Here's molecular structure and all these things you're doing. I don't know the terminologies, but you're doing all these amazing things, and you're showing people charts and graphs and ways that you can, better yourself to stay away from it. Because let's face it, it's an epidemic. Cancer is a damn epidemic. And that's amazing that you've done that. But I am so curious how you've created all this to find this therapeutic way for lifting, and it's got you through the hard times, and you can just keep this structure about you. Like, what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
And what really drives that? Do you go back and I know it doesn't sound like you live in the past, but do you go back there and say, screw that, I'm not going back there again. I've come this far. Walk us through a little bit of that.
Well, I guess, in the past, they would have been the type of person that, I suppose, I don't know if you'd be familiar, but I suppose last year I did go to treatment because I suppose it was getting to the point where I was having a lot of struggles in my mind and didn't know why. So again, I suppose by virtue of the research that I'm doing myself, and again, a huge amount of work with someone I'd be very foolish to leave out, because he's been such a crucial part to my recovery, Dr. Serrano. With him, we could kind of going through all the bits and pieces to help me move forward, and treatment was part of that. I had to do it because, again, although I was using it in a positive way, I didn't know where it was coming from necessarily. Childhood trauma and childhood maltreatment, I guess, is something that, if it's very severe, which I guess, it's something that I would have never appreciated. Let's say I would have just said, listen, that's happened, I'm just going to move forward. But there are developmental changes that occur in the brain, and I'm happy enough to admit that. So again, a high level of, let's say, the motivation and the drive and the I don't care, I would always be the type of person, no matter what happens, I know that I'll be able to cope with it. So, whereas other people will maybe sink and they need someone else to help them. They call mommy or daddy, or they call their brothers and sisters. I didn't have that structure, If shit hits the fan financially, I'm fucked, because I can't just call someone and ask them for help. It's all on me. If I'm kicked out of my house, I don't have anywhere to go. And I've lived like that for a long, long period of time. And so I've learned to cope very well, but ultimately down the line things kind of the seams start to spray. So I guess dealing with that side of things, you know, through counselling and everything else has been the best thing I ever did. Because although I had knowledge, you know, and it's the maddest thing looking back, and that's why I have started to talk about it now, and I'm in a good position to be able to talk about it now, because, you know, I've acknowledged it and I've been able to find a way forward, as I always have in the past. Now, not alone this time, you know, I needed help this time. But I suppose looking at things, you know, at the moment, I'm so happy about the next few years, because I couldn't possibly have lived the last 30 years. Although I did a lot of positive things and achieved a lot of successes, I still wasn't a happy person inside. Chasing these things, you know, chasing competitions, chasing successes career-wise, never really did it for me. And a constant looking for something to fill a void that was never going to be filled by external things, unfortunately.
I so admire your courage right now to say what you just said, to say, I'm finally at a place where I'm comfortable to talk about it. And I tell you what, Doctor, if that is a game changer for all of us that have some vulnerability enough to say, I'm not measured by success in terms of finances or material things or all these things. It's to say that I still want to keep continuing to get better every goddamn day, no matter what. And these struggles, sure, they've helped me, and I've acknowledged that, but we're not always at 100%, are we? And the faster we admit that and make the strides to get working on it.
Yeah, and even I was speaking to a lady today, actually, a client, and, you know, we were saying that, like, obviously, you know, you know, people would often confuse it sometimes, you know, she's talking about the awful life she had. I was like, I'm not looking for sympathy here. The reason I'm bringing it up is because if anything I've realized recently is that as I have been talking to people about it, that people are starting to say to me, God, I can't believe, like, because the image that she would come out, like someone like you has issues, or, you know, people would see me and they say, oh, she's a doctor and, you know, she's this successful. They think I would have had this great life and everything came easy, you know. And I said, well, no, actually things haven't been easy for me, and nothing I've ever got in life came easy. It's all hard work, you know, even with exams in school, you know. Oh yeah, but Fionnula's really smart, like, you know, so she doesn't have to work that hard. And I said, well, actually I worked hours and hours and hours every day, you know. Like when I was a kid in school, I mean, I spent 5 hours a day in my room, locked the door, nobody disturb me. I don't care what chaos is going on around, I need to study and I'm going to do it. Good, you know, but it's not as if it came easy. I just did cram for a week before the exams. No, I studied every single day for 5 hours. I literally put the clock on, don't disturb me. I don't care what shit's hitting the fan. And same on the weekends, and that's at a very young age. So I suppose to show that yes, there's struggles, but, you know, I'm not sitting here waiting for someone else to come and rescue me out. It's sometimes you do have to take a proactive approach yourself. In the same way as no doctor or psychiatrist is just going to come to me and give me a prescription pad for an antidepressant and sort my life out. That ain't going to happen. No. Okay, it might get me to the point where I'm able to do things. Well, yes, I still have to go and do my exercise. I still have to go to the shop and, first of all, buy the healthy foods. And again, we all know, most people know what's the right thing to do, but it's how you implement it and maintain it. And when things do go, so again, don't get me wrong, I'd be lying if I said I don't have bad days still. Of course I do. Yeah. But I know that, listen, if I eat a load of chocolate here, like, okay, I do eat chocolate, like, but I don't have a tendency to binge. You know, I ain't going to be feeling so good in the long run, you know. And to have that knowledge around that, and, you know, equally with training, and I suppose we're talking on the basis of, you know, like it's a Super League. So I suppose with training, people just say, oh, she's always been strong, like. Okay, if you see, I mean, I train hard, you know. People who see me training in the gym, they're surprised, you know. And I do go into that place where, I suppose, you know, people who know me in the gym now, that's why I like to go to my same gym, because if I start acting like a crazy bitch in the gym and become quite angry and quite, you know, hard in the gym, which I do. Because I don't want people to disturb me. Turn the head. People are okay. They know I'm not a bitch. It's just that when I'm in the gym, you don't fucking annoy me. Nice. You know, I'm there to do my training, and I'm not there to be nice and Fionnula the doctor when I'm there. You know, so when I'm in the same gym, people already know I'm not in trouble. Whereas it can come across rude, understandably. Yeah. If that's the case.
But that's your therapy session. You have paid dearly to have
Yeah.
that therapy session to you, for you to utilize for that, right? I mean, I'm not talking about in the membership, but you have paid dearly for life lessons to be left the fuck alone for an hour to
And
get
also, I
yourself.
want to achieve a goal too. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I have a desire. Like, if I want to lift 120 kilos, I sure as hell don't want to be listening to someone else's, someone trying to interrupt me about something that happened they saw on Instagram.
Yeah.
I have a program, I have a rest interval, I have a tempo, and I want to win the stamp competition then in September. So
Yes.
don't interrupt me. There's no
Nice.
point coming around September in Vegas and super say, oh, well, like, I have to stop my session in the middle to talk to this person.
I
Which
don't think so.
I love talking to people, but and I love helping people. That's my job. I really do love it, and that's, I suppose, a conflict that occurs during the training
Yeah.
session. But there's a time and place for that too, and that's my therapy in the gym.
Yeah.
And if I don't get that, I ain't going to be able to do anything else.
So stay the hell out of your way. Hey,
I know, not always like that. I'm probably making it out to be worse than it is.
not good for you. You know what? And I think that's the only way we get ahead in life is we have to be have the courage to ask for what we want too, right? And not just sit back and take it too late. You're on a mission, and you've come through the hard times to get to where you are today, and you're going to do everything in your power to protect that and get further ahead.
Yes, for sure. And that's another thing I suppose that I've dealt with recently too, is I used to be the person who always say yeah to everything. And I at the expense of my own health, because, and that inevitably did lead to my admission into treatment, was because I was trying to help people who, I couldn't help at that time. They were too deep in their own issues. And that's, again, something I've had to learn, and to protect my own self as well,
Yeah.
And that's not being selfish. That's kind of learning when to say no to protect my own sanity,
I don't know, Doc. I kind of have this little slogan myself that I say there's a fine line between being selfish and smart. And once we start figuring that out, and I mean, I don't think you're being selfish. I think you're being very smart to say, I don't want to get sick again with riddled thoughts in my head, and I have to keep my discipline and my structure and my thing going so I can keep excelling and getting better. I think you're onto something great teaching people that too. I got to tell you. And I think there's not enough of that in the world, where everyone's so lost on the vanity side of, if it's just working out we're talking about, or in medicine, like you said, they're so quick to give a prescription. Oh, you have bipolar. Here's your prescription. Well, how about some healthy exercise? Or another epidemic we have is diabetes. And I mean, people, they just eat crappy and they're overweight. So why not tell them the truth and get them on a program where they can help themselves,
Yeah, but I mean, it even transcends to the fitness industry, whereby with, I suppose, the explosion of Instagram and, the fitness models and all of this, like, I mean, you have people looking for the quick fix solution as well. Like, I mean, I suppose by virtue of being a doctor and also with the fitness background, I tend to see a lot of girls in particular. And they're coming in on doses of steroids that men would be taking,
Jesus.
But they're doing it again. Okay, whatever about if you're competing. Like, I mean, it's part and parcel of that. Don't get me wrong. And anyone that competes should be well aware of that. But that people are doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it for the selfie on Instagram, not for the passion of, let's say, okay, bodybuilding we're talking about in particular, but they don't even understand the sport of bodybuilding, They're really young, like, which is a great sport. It's something I absolutely love it as a sport. But you see a lot of people, they do it because they broke up with their boyfriend and they want to make him jealous. Or they want to take this selfie on Instagram. And I know we're laughing at it, but it's a serious problem.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the reasons for girls and taking plan and all these other things, again, comes back to looking for the quick fix solution. And like, that's why I say, even to girls that look at my physique, I say, yeah, but I mean, I've been training for many, many years. And I've also put the time into doing strength training, like relative strength training. Yes, I do go switch into bodybuilding, but the core of my training is not with the goal of looking a certain way. Yes, I did bodybuilding for a year or two, and went on stage and thoroughly was dissatisfied with the experience. I hated it. I would never do it again. Now, that's where Super League is fantastic, because it's not that environment, Also, that's why I say this. I love the Super League concept of you're measuring the physique, completely objective markers with metrics. And that is incredible, because especially as a female, to be presenting presenting your hard work and labor in the gym, which is not exactly, bikini and heel style stuff.
Yeah.
It's, it's chalk and it's hard work and grit and it's sweat and it's cursing and it's messy hair and makeup all over the place.
Can I ask you something?
It is masculine environment,
Yeah.
and then to be presenting that, walking up and down in heels on the stage is just, I don't think, it's not a good representation of the hard work that's put in.
Well, how about you put your hand up to the screen and show us the calluses you probably have on there. Look at that. Holy
I don't know if you can see them there.
There it is. There's the proof in the hands, doctor. That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. That ain't pretty. The nails look okay, but the calluses ain't so much.
Seriously though, it isn't strong the new sexy. It really is.
Sure
yeah. Like you said, it's not.
And it's how cool is it? Like I see girls I think it's cool because if you train that way and you train to be shit strong in the gym, how cool do you feel when you go to the gym and the guy beside you is lifting that weights? That's kind of cool. And also it's a feeling of this massive load on your back, and you're just powering up with that weight. Yeah. Imagine how that transcends to normal life, whereby no matter what fucking shit this thrown at me today, sorry, I shouldn't curse.
No, you can. This is allowed. We want that. That's
right. So no matter what's thrown at me in life, it isn't like the 100 kilos I just did for 10 reps earlier.
Yeah.
If I can put that on my back, I can deal with whatever is going on out here.
And that, I think that's what I say. You're changing lives with that. I truly believe that. And because
what's my selfie gonna do? Me posing in a photo, except for a bit of softcore porn for people. It's nothing more than that. That's what it is. As much as we love to say, I'm showing off my body because I'm proud of what I've achieved, you're not really. It is kind of porn. That's the majority of Instagram right now. So I don't think it's healthy for kids to be on it right now because that's all it is.
Yeah.
It's posturing. It's just going backwards, especially in terms of feminism, because, don't get me wrong, I've done that before too. But again, I've learned lessons and I can talk about that now because I was there.
Yeah.
And again, that was low self-esteem for me. You put out an image that, let's say, you're happy enough with your body, you're comfortable with your body and you're happy. But the truth is, if you're doing that, it's probably because you're the opposite. You're probably low self-esteem and you need the likes on Instagram to make you feel good about yourself when you're sitting at home alone.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth? Holy shit. It's funny you say that because have you met Jay? I know you say talk about Sue, but have you met Jay Jung?
No.
What a beautiful man, him and his brother Danny, and I look forward to you meeting them. But he is so, what you just said, that is him to a T and what he said. And I admire him to create this concept of Super League like they have. And someone, like Sue, such a huge part of it, and Danny and Kat and everybody. But that's exactly what it is. It's to say, you competed for plastic trophies. He did it too. I mean, he says that type of stuff, but it wasn't fulfilling the need he had inside to have a culture and this family kind of thing like we have now in Super League. And I think it's so damn cool where
it's great,
Yeah. And it can be virtual. You're over in Dublin Ireland. I'd love to come and watch you there, girl, but that's pretty far away. So I'm happy to watch the video. You know what I mean? So I love that you're using Instagram for that. It's great, And
the other thing I suppose is as well, like I always say to people, especially if they're looking at competing and stuff, it's because obviously there's a physique component to Super League too, and you know what, the way it's measured and that is so great because then you do foster the sport of bodybuilding as well, because that's what bodybuilding is. It's proportions, it's symmetry. It's not about who did your makeup or how many followers you have on Instagram or who did your hair and who did your tan and all of this nonsense. It's objective markers. And by measuring and quantifying and I suppose rewarding people in that fashion, you then come back to what we're supposed to be doing in the gym every day to get there. Enjoying the experience of being in the gym. Enjoying the training. That's what I say to people. Competing, to be honest, is probably okay. It's often an anticlimax, if anything. But it's the day to day, waking up in the gym and going, okay, this is my program for today. Gee, I want to eat this way today because I really want to be able to perform well. And then the high I get from yes, I got my program today, or I plan to get 8 reps and I got 9. Or, today, I felt stronger than yesterday. And equally the lows of, shit, I didn't really do too well today. Maybe I need to take a rest day tomorrow. And just all of those things that make us so in tune with our body. you know, and also foster the passion for what the long-term goal is. Again, the competitive side of things is lovely for a day, and it's a great community thing, and you know, you connect with people, especially with Super League internationally, and that community is lovely. And again, to be able to meet up then in Vegas, brilliant, I love it. But again, we want to foster, let's say, fitness, health, and wellness in a long-term lifestyle way that's enjoyable for people. It's not about suffering and depleting yourself until you're dead on stage. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's another part of it too.
Wow. That you have this great, you've spent years doing this. You just shared that, like decades of creating, thinking. Well, and I mean, and being knocked down, but building yourself back up. But like your honesty towards saying, fuck it, I just want to get better and suck less every day is awesome. And I mean, that is more of what's needed in this world, not our ego to take control, not our selfies and all that stuff. Like you said, it's just to be real. And that's what helps people. You are inspiring people to
thank you.
Yeah, like it's amazing. And I so appreciate you coming on here. If I do want to, if only as you're comfortable, but this has all been created from a childhood past and some of the things you've gone. I would love to just get into Dr. F's head for like 5 minutes just to say, what was like one of the biggest contributing factors for you knowing as a child that a transformation was needed in you to say like, fuck it, I'm not going to live like this?
Well, I guess it was seeing that, you know, genetics is the big factor. And the illnesses, you know, the circumstances that I was in as a child were not, I suppose, down to the individuals. You know, it wasn't bad intent on, you know, the structure that I had around me, but rather their afflictions that were not being dealt with. And I think so I don't hold any resentment, and, you know, I feel nothing but you know, sadness that they, and to this day, still probably have not addressed their own issues. And again, the issues with which I ultimately became afflicted too, despite my efforts not to go down the same route as those who were around me at the time. And I suppose it was because I had from such a young age, you know, I was a parent from a very young age, not only to you know, to everyone around me, as you know, brothers, and the other support structures that you would expect to be doing the things for you as unconditional love. So I always had to care for myself. I always had to be hyper alert. I also had to be thinking of all of the things that can go wrong so that I can prevent that happening. And then as I grew up and got exposures to other people and seeing things around, and again, like I said, there are developmental changes that we can see in the research that make children like that. You know, the genetic changes that occur, you know, SNPs and things like that, that make us better able to see things that other people don't see. I mean, I had to figure out a way to, like, this, I was like, I can't live like this, you know, and I had to make some hard decisions, and none of which I suppose I regret, no more than, let's say, you know, I've made some risky decisions over the years, like my career, for example. You know, I probably would have been a lot safer to stay in orthopedics, you know, but I've always had good wisdom, and I suppose wisdom comes from the gut. And I always felt that, listen, I've been through shit on hell on earth, that, like, you know, if I don't take this risk that I believe in here, like, I stand to gain so much from following this, because I really feel like this is for me. If it fucks up, well then, like, it can't be any worse than it already was. So, like, you know, it's worth me taking the risk. And I also had the confidence of knowing that, listen, I've been able to survive to this point. I'm sure if shit hits the fan, I'll be able to do the same again. And so, don't get me wrong, I've taken some risks that didn't work out, but I've been able to pull myself out of them. It wasn't easy, but I did it. And I couldn't tell you what exactly it was that spurred it on, but I suppose always guided by wisdom deep down, and not being afraid to take those risks. Because, again, not for any other reason than, you know, I didn't learn anything great from school. I didn't, you know, nobody gave me words of wisdom, unfortunately, because nobody really knew on the outside what was going on. But I suppose I just, It just came to me. And I suppose in hindsight now, over the last year, I've gotten closer to spirituality, something which I adamantly rejected for many years.
Yeah.
When I look back, I see maybe the roles that played, the wisdom probably guided by what I call a higher power.
Yeah.
Something like I wouldn't say I'm religious as such, not yet anyways. But I definitely believe in a higher power. And maybe it's that higher power that was speaking through the gut that, guided me in the right path.
Yeah.
Damn. Let's hope so anyway.
I just keep coming back to the word courage. You're so fucking courageous. Like, a lot of people probably you
I didn't always feel like that.
Well,
and I still don't.
Well, but I tell you what, I do believe it's that willingness to talk about it and be vulnerable about it, but also to say, fuck it, that's not going to take me down. That's where I see this courage in you to say, like, you just spoke of it. Like, if I didn't do it, I would be sitting there wondering why the hell I didn't. And it felt right. So something inside you at a young age it's fight or flight, like that fight or flight pattern.
That's what it is. Effectively, yeah. Exactly that. You hit it on the head.
Yeah. And so you
I
have
always
that.
chose fight.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome, because you were just like, fuck it can't get worse than it is. It's only going to get better. And if I don't go do it, I'm going to be sitting here stewing about the goddamn thing. It's so you got to bust out of that. And that leads me into this next question for you. And if you could say something to everyone, billions of people in the world that might be in that rut, needing that push, just to say, like, fuck it, I got to get, like, how would you present that? How would you say that?
I guess, as I actually wrote a post about this last night, nobody else can say, no other human being usually on the planet can say anything that will get you out of it. People can say, oh, you have this to be happy for, this to work for, this will get better. Like, no matter the words, like, they have no meaning to people when they're in that kind of rush. If they're stuck in a bad situation, there's no medication that can pull you out of that. There's no training program. It's having faith in yourself, actually.
Yeah.
First and foremost, having a belief that you have the power to change things. And yes, the mind can be very destructive at times, and it can tell you things that are not right, and it can control you. But having faith that there's something out there, that this experience that you're having, whether it's, let's say, a low from a depression, whether it's, you're consumed by thoughts, anxious thoughts and panic and fear and everything else, whether you're in a really terrible situation, have the faith that there's a purpose for it. Like I say at the moment, the purpose, like I don't look back at my past and say, oh, it's terrible, poor me. I say, God or whoever higher power is out there wanted me to go through that experience because he knew that I was strong enough to pull through and use my experience to help others.
So there's what I was looking for.
It is, that's the truth. For like I said, even now still I get episodes where I'm like, I'd be lying if I said it won't took it low. Of course we all get anxious. Like, I mean, before Super League, I'm like, oh my God, like you're anxious. And that's normal, and so because like there's a difference between, let's say, feeling sad because something happened with my dog, like, or things like that, versus depression. And to just know that there's a reason for all of these things. Like there always is a reason. I'm anxious before a competition because I need to be anxious so that I get enough adrenaline so I can do a PB. Because otherwise my body's just going to be at the same thing it is in training. And anxiety is good. You see it in a positive way. There's a reason for this, and like I said, like there's a reason for the terrible things that happen to us in life. And I always say it's people who have those experiences to just be reassured in the sense that there is a greater picture here, something that, again, I'm a science person, like first and foremost science and then medicine, and I'm a maths person. And for me to be able to like even believe in something, like I said, I used to be sitting there like, what are they talking about? This nonsense? Some stupid thing is going to come out of the sky and come down and save me. I sure as fuck ain't waiting for that. Sorry.
No, you keep going.
I sure as hell am not waiting for some spirit to come out of nowhere and save me. It's like, you need to tell me what I can do. And I sat in the treatment center and said that. You know, like anyone who's there would say, like, I don't know what this is about, but I sure as hell, I've never done this in my life, and I'm not doing it now, sitting here waiting for something to rescue me from the sky. Just tell me what I can do, A, B, C, D. And unfortunately, that approach was not going to work, and led to me being admitted for much longer than I would have liked. But once, I suppose, you resign to the fact, and again, it's just, you have pivotal moments. I mean, there's certain things that maybe built up for me over the years to have maybe little things that would have happened, and I'm like, okay, that's strange, and that's more than coincidence. And then you put them all together and you say, well, listen, I have to sit back here and say, and take, again, my own arrogance out of the equation too. Like, you know, I will say that the one thing that held me back from getting better sooner was my own arrogance, my own ego. I think I know better than all these people, and that's the truth. Yeah. And once you let go of that, no more than when you let your ego go in the gym and you take a few steps back to go forward. Then you start to see, okay, well, like, this is not working. My way is not working here. And I need to listen to these people around me who have been where I have been and have gotten better. And what is the key factor here? It's that they've developed spirituality. There's my little dog running around.
I gotta ask you with that, because maybe you can help me here. You know, I've often ego is such a. I know women have it too, but it's large with men. A fucking ego can crush a man. And, you know, for years I've studied myself, and I've worked through a program too, and I do these things and I try and harness that. But there's days where I think, you know, if I didn't have a certain amount of an ego, like as a protective shell to excel and do things, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I get twisted up. So I want you to help me to understand, because I think you just said something there that really piqued my interest. You can go in the gym and you can have that, the ego, and you can have all these things, but it's actually what you're using for some fuel to do some good. So I guess what I'm asking you is, how have you worked where you can harness that to a degree to work it in some good, to say, yeah, I'm a little egotistical today, but fuck it, I'm gonna take it and turn it into fuel. Like help me to understand that a little bit.
I guess it's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's, how do you find the balance between the two? And I suppose, you know, it's okay to have an ego. Like you said, you know, I get pissed off if, like, someone beats me in a competition. Like, I mean, I'm still pissed off that I got third. Okay, but I accept it. Yeah. And you accept that, okay, I have to do better the next time, you know.
Yeah.
And the arrogant side of me, and a difference between arrogance and confidence, I think, too, comes in. You see my little dog?
He's so cute. He is so adorable. Hi, buddy.
Oh, he's licking me. Yeah, the arrogance versus confidence. So the arrogant side of me in the past would have said, screw this, I didn't win, so this competition is not for me. You know, it's not, you know, rather than the side of me saying, okay, I didn't win, so what do I have to do? And I have to sit back and look, what am I doing wrong, rather than it's their fault that I didn't win. You know, it's you know, I am, those things become important. So who do I have to get advice from, or what do I have to do to address my weaknesses to improve, you know? And also, when it comes to competing, again, from someone who would have been the type of person, like I said, I still don't like not winning, but it's not the be-all and end-all. It's like in the past, something like that would have been catastrophic. And to be honest, I wouldn't enter something unless I wasn't fairly sure I was going to win. Now, I guess, you know, because I found a nice balance between, you know, wanting to win and or wanting to do my best, but still be competitive, versus winning or nothing, you know. That's, I suppose, being, again, giving up my own arrogance and finding out the things that drive me too. So when I spoke about searching for titles and searching for wins and, you know, things in the gym, like getting a big weight in the gym, yes, they're feel-good factors, but they're not, I'm not chasing something to fill my void. Like, you know, the void, I guess, being that spiritual center, which was never there, like the human connection. Like I would always say, like, I remember I used to do debating and public speaking in college. And one of the titles was "In an Age of Communication, Mankind Has Never Felt So Alone." And it's something that came to me so frequently over the years, especially with the big following, relatively big following on Instagram. And I would sit there some days, like, I'll never forget my 30th birthday last year. Oh, no, I just said what age I am.
There you are. You're busted. You're busted.
I sat there on my own. And I said, God, there's all these followers on Instagram and all these people, and yet here I am on my 30th birthday, and there's nobody here,
Yeah.
And I can win all the competitions on the world, and I can put all the selfies up, and I can do all the good lifts and whatever else. But I'm still sitting here on my own at 30 years old with, I don't even think I got a birthday card, that's a scary place to be,
Yeah. Well, so with that said, what is a learn from that for you? Like, hey, I'm going to challenge you right now. I'm across the world, so you can't you can't whoop my ass with this one. So what are you doing about that, Dr. F? Like,
I suppose I have looked at finding the right people around me. So again, I was probably engaging in relationships that were not conducive to my health,
Yeah.
Or I was always helping other people, and in relationships where I was there for them, but they weren't there for me, and I suppose getting sucked into relationships like that out of, I guess they say codependence, but then because you're doing everything for that one person, then you lose out on the other people who could potentially be there for you. So again, people who have been there for me over the years and thankfully were able to help me, and they wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them, is the ISI, so the Eye Strength Institute in Dublin here, Owen Lacey, John Connor, Adam and Robbie. And them getting me closer to introducing me to Dr. Serrano has really helped with me re-establishing a good, solid friend base and people, and finding people who I can trust.
Yeah.
And people who are actually there, and also from treatment, learning to accept that the people I'm looking for love from, again, the people that you grow up expecting to have unconditional love from, I can't keep searching for that as well. My whole life, you're still hoping and praying that maybe that will come, that unconditional love. But accepting that that's not how my life panned out. And yeah, you see it on TV and you see it in, everyone else seems to have it around you, and even if I'm talking about like wins and things, maybe I was trying to impress them so like they'd love me. But that just, that's just not going to happen. It hasn't happened in 30 years, and I don't see it happening now. And to be okay with that, and to be open to finding it in places that maybe I never looked before, like my dog.
Darling, I was just going to say that. And as you were talking,
my dog is the best thing.
I grew up I grew up with some shit in my life too, and it used to come that the only one that would love you unconditionally is your dog, and I always had that, and I kid you not, I still believe that today, that the only unconditional love in the world is from the animal. And think about it. You can have the worst day of your life. You come in there and that dog is wagging its tail, loving you. You can kick it to the side. You can yell at it, and it's still going to be on your lap, licking your face. Like,
I'm still looking for food.
Oh, honestly, Dr. F, I think that's the only unconditional.
But yeah, I mean, and she was the start of me like getting better, to be honest. And God, I feel so bad sometimes I forget to eat, because it's so normal now at this stage. She's such a part of my life now that sometimes I even forget to mention her. But Jesus,
well, I gotta tell you.
So far.
I got to tell you this. Keep doing what you're doing, because when I watch you on the Instagram story that you put on, I was watching one the other day, and you started recording, and all of a sudden that little cutie popped its head out from under your covers and be like, "Good morning." That was your good morning. And I thought that was so awesome. That's what you have. And you're grateful for it. And that dog is grateful for you. And I think it's a beautiful thing. And
I hope she is.
Well, no, you can tell. Come on, there's no way about that. That is great. I appreciate you being so open and willing and honest and just wanting to make this world a better fucking place, because it's just, we're so lost
Well, we
in,
got to try.
yeah, you're damn right we do. And it's so lost in the social medias and the stuff that can become so unhealthy if looked at that way. But I think there's good people like yourself that are creating a positive message and putting the positive message out there. And
Thank you. Appreciate that.
yeah, and that's so what I'm trying to do. I was so stoked when I saw you do those lifts, and I messaged you right away. I was like, holy, and well, here's what's funny. It wasn't 20 minutes from the time I messaged you, Jay was on the phone with me saying, you need to get her on your podcast. I said, dude, her and I already have talked. We're ahead of you. Got this. And then beautiful Sue reached out to me and said, listen, I know her. If you need to get in touch with her, it's like, hey, it's done. We're going to make this happen. I love this about, yeah. And I so love this about everybody being willing to just do this and be real. Like there's not enough real in the world. You know,
that's so true.
Yeah, we're not hiding behind mirrors and glass.
Filters out there.
and you've helped me today in so many ways, like about ego. Like I say, like I sit there and suffer with that sometimes. Say like, but if I don't have a certain amount of it, I don't excel to say I got to do better. And you said like it's not the arrogant side. I don't believe I'm that. I'm loving, man. I'm from the inside, but you have to have a certain amount of that strength to carry on because you come so far and it's your power and your strength and your courage that got you there. You can't let that goddamn guard down.
Yes, exactly.
Someone's going to come
foster that too.
Yeah.
I see that as well, you know, and I always say it's like, if you look at like, because again, I would do a lot of genetic testing with, you know, a lot of people with psychiatric illness, especially addiction, I guess, you know. And people in addiction tend to have other psychiatric illnesses as well. And there's certain genetic polymorphisms called SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, that develop in those, are common in those individuals. And like I always say to people who are afflicted by these things, whether it's a food addiction or it's cocaine or it's heroin, whatever it is, you know, this you have to look at this in a way that, yes, you have a genetic polymorphism that makes you more likely towards addiction. You know, whether, like I said, whatever the substance or the item, whether it's sex or shopping or whatever it might be. Yeah. But that's also the same trait that makes you good as hell at your job and allows you to be able to discipline and allows you to have the motivation. So, you know, to see these things and to use them in a positive way. You know, we all have traits and we all have downsides and we all have our afflictions, but to use those things in a positive way, you know.
What do you know about narcissism? Like
narcissism, isn't it?
Well, you said you deal with addictions. I'm going to be completely honest with you because I'm a 23-year recovering alcoholic. I got 23 years.
Congratulations.
Yes, and I feel so blessed for that. So when you talked about a program, that's one thing that's kept me stable through all my shit when I wanted to go back. A higher power, the steps, some things, and I'm reaching out to a community of people that are there when you need it. I'm not a great advocate for it in terms of a bunch of meetings. I go when I feel I need the fuel, but I too have turned the physical side of it into that's my haven. That is my serenity sweet spot, I call it. I go there and just thrash shit, and I feel great. But
the courage to change the things you can and isn't to know the difference.
There you go. Good for you. You know it. But I want to ask about narcissism because I see. I've had that in my life, and that's been a huge struggle to have a narcissistic person in my life. And what do you know about that? Like what I studied or read about it was I had to make a decision. Either I can learn to accept it and let it be a part of my life, or I got to put my hand up and say, I can't do this because it's not healthy for me. And I picked number 2, and I've done that. Now it's shitty, but what do you know about the narcissistic?
I guess I can't say it's something that I'm overly familiar with in terms of the let's say the study around it, you know. Yeah. I remember reading something recently about it. There's different types, but I can't say I know enough to comment on it, you know. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I had a huge insight into it. And I had to manage it or things like that. You know, I'll hold my hand up there and say there's something I can't really comment on.
Well, and I appreciate that because I know there's
no point me trying to say something that I don't know.
Magic pill or cure.
I do remember reading the chapter on it there in some book before, but it's gone.
That's good. It doesn't affect you, so that's a good thing. Good. So, are you willing to play a little fun game with me with some questions?
I'm always up for a challenge.
All right. I know you are. So what we do here is we have a little piece here. Danny Jung had created it. It's from an old talk show where they used to have celebrities come in and then they would ask them questions, and you get
Okay.
yeah,
Here
and
goes.
you just answer it to the best of your ability. And I have 10 of them here, so I'm just gonna pick randomly. And
Okay.
oh, what is your favorite curse word?
Oh.
There you go. I love it. Oh, okay, let's go with this one. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Actress, stage actress.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that would be like theater.
Yes,
Theater
either
type
like
stuff.
Shakespearean stuff.
Nice. Okay.
Oh yeah, I could do Hamlet real well, like, ironically enough.
I think that's pretty cool. That's got to come from somewhere. um, okay. What is your least favorite word? Not a swear word, but just your least favorite word that when people say it, it probably fucking tips you off.
Like, okay. Like, what does that mean? Like, in the sense of like the response to something. I'm okay. What does that mean? Doesn't mean you're good. Doesn't mean you're bad. What does it mean? It's like, it's so flat. It's like, come on, give me more information here.
Yeah. So
How's your day? It was, what?
So do you actually call people on that when they do it? When you go like, listen, that's not a hypothetical goddamn answer here.
I think people know when I ask them how their day was. They usually know that, like, you can tell her everything because, again, and that's what I like as well, because people, they trust me and stuff, and people like know that I've heard everything before. There's nothing they can say that's going to shock me. So most people that, let's say, I would be asking those type of questions know that they're going to be giving me a detailed answer, and I love to listen to their answer.
Yeah.
I love hearing people's stories. And again, that's with my job, I spend a lot of time with people hearing their story. I'm very few, how many people, especially because of my own experience, I come home and nobody asks me how my day was. It's not that I'm trying to talk about it or anything, but it's a great it's a great thing for people to have, even in consultations. I go through people's life story, and they get the opportunity to even themselves sit down and present that in a certain way. Like, when have people ever sat down and said that this, when I was a kid, this happened, and it affected me this certain way, and talk through all the things that have occurred in their life. And regardless of them telling me as the doctor, they're also kind of reflecting on things themselves. And again, able to identify things that have occurred. So again, asking Dave, oh, well, I went to this and it pissed me off. Like, it might be something stupid, but like, it's for them. Like, I love that people feel that they can tell me those things. I'll be like, oh shit, that sucks. Like, whatever,
Yeah.
Like, whereas, let's say, if you meet people superficially, oh, how's your day? Oh, yeah, I had a great day. It's fake, That's okay. Okay, yeah, but what happened in your day? Like, what did you do? Where did you go? You must have met someone and they had a conversation with them, or, like, what happened? Like,
Don't you think in society that that we've lost a lot of that, and probably because there's the cell phone, there's the texting, there's all this social media stuff.
Yes, exactly.
There's no gift of just doing this anymore, just communicating, just
No,
having a conversation.
interaction. It's like you see even if you look at AA or NA, like why does that model work? It works because there is a shared human connection. There's people interacting on a level whereby they're sharing their deepest, darkest experiences of whether it's drug use or alcohol use or wherever it is. They're opening up their minds to things that have gone on within their minds and finding out, hey, I'm not the only one who thinks like this fucked up stuff. And I'm not the only one who's been through this shit. My little doggy's barking at me. Come here. And that's why that works.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's a shared human experience. And that's, again, what I hope to do with the Instagram is by talking about things that I've been through, maybe someone else can say, God, I thought I was the only one that felt like that.
Hell no, you're not alone.
Actually, I'm not. But that's why that model works. I'm wondering if it might be worth doing something similar to the NA or AA model in terms of people with other psychiatric illnesses that don't necessarily have a substance abuse issue. which ultimately anyone with psychiatric issue ends up with substance abuse, because probably there's a long history of psychiatric illness that hasn't been addressed. Like, it's like you said, if someone has depression and they take cocaine's going to work. Like, it is going to make them feel happy. And that's why they become addicted, because, hey, this is making me feel happy like everyone else around here seems to feel. Why the hell do I not get to feel like this?
That's right. No, it makes sense.
You know, substance abuse and addiction is usually the end of a long line of psychiatric illness.
And isn't substance abuse is so broad nowadays. It's not just alcohol and drugs, like you said. Like, oh my God, the list is massive.
Like there's sex addiction, there's shopping addiction, eating addiction is a big one. Like
gambling addiction, like everything.
Gambling, is part of the same thing. You know, your GA as well.
So in Dublin, Ireland, I want to know a little bit about Dublin, Ireland. I love I'm coming there. I am coming there because here's what I want to do. Even though I share with you, I do not drink for a long time. I absolutely love your guys' pubs and your atmosphere and the live music. And I'm a dancer. I just want to go tear shit up. They'll think I'm the drunkest, craziest guy in there with no booze in me, and I'll get to walk home. But tell me about Dublin.
Probably have a lot more fun without booze.
Oh well, I would, and never have to feel shitty. So I love that too.
Exactly.
But tell me about population. What's the population of Dublin, Ireland?
Oh, I think it's 5 million.
5 million.
I don't think my geography knowledge is great or my population knowledge. I think it's 5 million.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful city, you know. It really is. And, you know, okay, we don't have the best weather the majority of the time, but when we do, it's beautiful. Like, I mean, today it's gorgeous. And we have so many beautiful sights, and, you know, the nature around us is lovely. Like, I mean, there's a good attempt at preserving nature in the city. You know, you have massive big green parks with lakes. And, like, I mean, I live in the city centre here, and I'm looking out there at the water, you know. And that is something that's very important for me too, is being around nature. And, you know, it seems like a small thing, but being able to see trees and water. Like, then there's the river at the other side, you know, a big river that runs through the city. And beautiful buildings, you know, like old buildings that are just spectacular to look. Like, I even went into my old university, which is not far from here either, Trinity College Dublin, and, you know, the Book of Kells you may have heard of, right in there, and just the architecture and the structure of the buildings. It's just beautiful. And we tend to not appreciate it as Irish people. We tend to be very, you know, we see the grass greener on the other side, let's say. Yeah.
Well,
I used to be one of those people too. So.
Well, you guys have a history there that's just. Oh, yes, I'm so history driven. I want to learn the history. I have.
No, you love it, like.
Yeah.
You really love it. Like, the Book of Kells, and then you have all of the great, you know, poets and things like that, and the sites that you see around. You know, obviously literature is something that I would be quite passionate about too, and there's so much to see. So I'll be able to bring you on a tour when you come over.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. It's always piqued.
And a gym tour as well.
Yeah. And my grandma is she's from Leeds, England, so she's 94. My grandma's still alive, so hopefully I get her longevity. Oh yeah, girl, she lives here in Canada, and she has this energy fire spunk her. But we also have relatives in Ireland, and she's always said, you know, you have to get over there, and you have to see these things. And there's my 94-year-old grandma telling me that, so I think I better.
Wow, I think it's about time then.
Yeah, time to get out in the world and go touring. You know?
Yes, and like even outside of Dublin, there's lovely sights. You know, the west of Ireland is beautiful. Are you into surfing?
Oh, I'll try anything. There's no fear.
Why surfing spots on the west coast, and the Cliffs of Moher, and the Blarney Stone. You have to see the Blarney Stone.
Wow. Well, I'm going to be doing some reading now. This gets me excited. This is awesome.
And you know what? You can do it all without alcohol.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
much better experience.
Yeah, for sure. So you're going to come to Vegas in September, correct?
Yes, I can't wait.
So how many hour flight is that for you to get to Vegas?
I think it's usually about 6 hours to New York, and then probably another 5 hours.
Yeah, so it's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. Yeah, I think it's probably about that.
Yeah.
But You know what? I do the IVs, the vitamin drips as well. So be able to stock up on the bits and pieces
So,
to help you recover from the flies.
yeah. So are you talking about like you do intravenous,
Yeah.
but it's like nutrients and stuff that you're
Yeah,
pumping in.
vitamins and minerals generally.
Nu-
I suppose I do it like I would have worked with a lot of athletes and a lot of bodybuilding athletes over the years. So I got into it actually when I was working doing some of the UFC, like Conor McGregor and things, and they were looking for it. So I ended up, being around at the time, and they were talking about it, like the US athletes had been using it. So I said, hey, listen, I'll try and I'll go figure out it. Go do the courses and educate and figure out how to do it. So I started off with that. And, and I saw they all came in for the infusion, and I'd never done it at all before myself. And I was skeptical, like, okay, I was just like, and then they texted me later in the evening, like, oh, can I get another one tomorrow?
Wow.
What is in this? And like, I've got to try this now myself.
Is
So
it
I
like
guess I got a lot of experience from working with athletes and again, playing around with it myself. Whether, it's for performance, especially around weight cuts, and also like for stage prep as well. So again, with vitamin C, those tweaking that to an extent, magnesium, you're going to get a lot more vasodilation, things like that. So tweaking it around those parameters can make a big difference, especially if someone's weight cutting, like let's say for a fighter, if it is a weight class sport, like for, even if you talk about Super League. So you're getting whereas the calories are probably lower for cutting weight, or with water depleted juice is all you're doing, but you're replenishing the nutrients that, let's say, are crucial to the metabolism, being the B vitamins, and magnesium as well in there,
Kiss me.
And also what I found
kiss me. The dog.
Say hello.
Oh, you're so adorable. So is it the same as like people take electrolytes sometimes, like for a hangover? I've had friends that have friends that are in the medical field. They'll go get hooked up on some electrolytes after a night of partying, and it just makes them feel like $1,000,000.
Yeah, like that's the thing, I suppose. You can give it in a bag. So let's say a big normal saline bag with electrolytes in it, of course, or in solution or such. But I tend to not do that for most people, especially like in general public that are not, unless it's a weight cut and they've cut water.
Yeah.
Because that can, any fluids that you give, especially that volume to someone that's not dehydrated, can come with its own risks. And actually, there are drip rooms effectively in Vegas. They have them for sure, and in Ireland now they've started to do them. But in my experience, people tend to respond better to the infusion as such. So
gotcha.
rather than putting it in a bag, they tend to get a better result. Again, it depends on the individual and what they need. Like, there's other people that would use the infusions for, let's say, anxiety, where the magnesium tends to have, or the niacin as well, is going to have an effect.
Yeah.
And I just don't tend to see the need for the full bag of fluids when the person is not otherwise dehydrated.
Right.
And of course, for hangover, you will be dehydrated. And yes, by just giving the normal saline alone will probably make the person feel better.
Yeah.
Without the nutrients. But like in Vegas, they do have a hangover cure, I think is maybe what it's called, where, like they put the nutrients into the bag.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So that's going to help.
You mentioned Conor McGregor. You've got to work with him. I saw you had a picture with him on your Instagram there. But so you've got to work with that crazy sumbitch before.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, I used to just do the infusions and things like that around the weight cuts. Yeah. No, obviously they're not legal at the moment. They're banned.
Yeah.
I've worked with a lot of athletes over the years for with the weight cut side of things. Whether it's or weightlifting, and actually, I suppose if you look at the water regulations, like if it's below a certain amount of mils, it's technically okay. But again, it has to be declared. So there's those elements to it as well.
Right. Well, you know what? I have taken up an hour of your time. Your dog's probably wanting to go for a walk. Thank you so much for this, and I so look forward to meeting you in person one day, and we can sit and have a coffee and pick this conversation back up and try and figure this goddamn crazy world we live in.
I don't think anyone will ever figure it out, but we'll try.
Well, why not?
And make the most of what we have for now.
That's right.
God, it's gone crazy.
Well, thank you so much, and I so